Welcome to the detailing show. Let's begin.
Houston, Tranquility base here. The Eagle has landed.
Yes, sir. Reading you loud and clear. Clear. The clock has started.
The clock has started.
5, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
So, welcome along to the detailing show. If this is your first time with us, I'm not normally sat in my car in the dark, but needs must. The kitchen, which is the normal studio surrounding, I've torn the floor up, so it's in a mess. But this is appropriate. This episode is an interior special. It's usually very waxy on the detailing show, but on this one we're going to be taking a look at 3 interior products. We're going to be having a look first at Monstershine's new carpet brushes. This is a set of 3 drill attachment brushes, which, as the name would suggest, for the carpets. We're going to take a look at those first. We've got, for me, what is one of those products to be beaten. It's a benchmark for interior products, which is ODK's Cabin. It really is a tremendous product, but we're going to take a look at that as well. And then we're going to finish this all up with a look at the Leather Repair Company's Leather Cleaning and Protecting Kit. A leather repair company, Richard of the Leather Repair Company, is a very active man on social media, certainly knows how to engage his audience very well. But are the products any good? You will find out at the end of this episode of the detailing show. So let's begin. We're going to start with those Monstershine brushes. Check this out, and I will see you on the other side.
Hey guys, Luke here. These are the carpet brushes from Monstershine. And Monstershine have recently started selling these. They are available on their website. They say they are a selection of brushes designed for a multitude of jobs. So what you actually have here is a colour-coded system so that you can tell them apart, and if you are unable to identify colours, you can just feel the bristles. They basically have a very firm brush, a moderate firm, and a soft. So you can tell very simply when you sort of get a feel for them which one is which. They sell them individually. And they're priced at £12 per brush, or you can buy the set of 3 together, which comes in, I think, is $32.49 if memory serves. So you get a small reduction if you're buying them as a 3-pack. For me, I think it's worth buying as a 3-pack, and the reason for that is this. You do have enough of a differentiation between these 3 bristle strengths to warrant having all 3. I certainly can't see in the majority of cases why you wouldn't at least buy 2 of them. So with that in mind, if you're going to spend 24, I'd say just spend the 32 and get all 3. It just makes sense to me. Now, they're very robust brushes. I wasn't really sure what to expect because I've never used one of these brushes before. But they're really well put together. They're actually quite weighty brushes. You know, I don't know why, but I was expecting them to be lighter than what they were. And it's nice in terms of how they've been built. You can actually stack them. So for storage, I can imagine they'd be one of those awkward type of products. But you can stack them in the 3. Very easy for storage in that respect as well. But yeah, what you basically find with them, it's got a drill fitting on it. And I think that's very clever on Monstershine's side to have these as a drill fitting attachment, because when I first posted up the picture of these, there's a few guys asking, you know, do these fit a dual action polisher? You may have seen them on YouTube with dual action polishers. Now, the reason I think it's clever that they're drill attachments is this. I see far more posts from people saying, should I get a dual action polisher? Should I be polishing my paint? But with cordless drills, you can go and get one from B&Q for like 12 quid. So for those that don't have a dual action polisher, they're still an accessible tool and they're still an affordable tool. So I think from Monstershine's point of view, it was a wise choice. It was a smart choice not to have these as a dual action only type of tool in that respect. So it's good that they are a drill attachment. So with them being a drill attachment, very straightforward. If you don't know how to work a chuck on a drill, look it up, straightforward enough. Once mounted, and I decided to go sort of up the aggressiveness scale here. I started with the soft one, but the general approach to carpet cleaning is you always would. So spray the cleaner on what you want to clean, work it with a brush, extract it with your wet vac. you know, it doesn't change that, but what it does is it speeds the whole process along massively. It makes sure that your brushing of the carpet is uniform, it's thorough, and it really, really does get into them. So when I started here with the soft one kind of, you could feel the bristle in it was softer than the other two particularly. You could feel it was putting some work into the carpets, but for me, when I tried the next step up, the intermediate one, I could see that the soft would be better suited for like an upholstery seat, something like that, where it's not as dense and as hard wearing as a floor mat would be. So like I said, the soft, it has its place of being there. It's worth getting. It does say on Monstershine's website that you could use it on headliners. Obviously be careful with those, and certainly you wouldn't use the harder ones on a headline because it's quite a delicate fabric. But I'd well believe it. I'd well believe that it would be capable of dealing with a headliner. What I found when I knocked it up a notch then to the moderate one, the yellow bristled one, really what that did is having that stiffer bristle in the brush, it really picked up the pile in the mat. So these aren't my mats, these are from my mom's car, so they don't get the care so much. You can see there the bite that it kind of puts into the carpet, it kind of kicked away from me. It really got into the pile very, very quickly, very, very well, and it started throwing up all the sand that was deep in the pile. So it showed me that even if you're using these dry, if you had, you know, particularly stubborn case on some mats, you can actually bring this in as a dry tool and just use it to thoroughly clean the mats through. So not necessarily a tool that you'd be using with a wet vac, although you're going to see me in that respect. But for me, when I went from the soft to this one, the intermediate, I could see that difference. And again, then I'm thinking, okay, well, that's 2 out of 3 I'd have. I thought the yellow one did a great job. Would there be cause to buy the red one and go for all 3? But when I engaged the third one on the mat, when I sort of had a crack with that one, it was basically taking what the yellow one was doing and it was amplifying that. So it really got into the pile. It picked up a lot of that flat pile at the heel point in the mat where it was flattened down. It picked a lot more out of the pile quickly, so all the sand, all the debris was coming out of it. And you know, this was a vacuumed mat. This, you know, I made sure I vacuumed it before I started anything like this. So for me, I'd probably find when I reach for these again, when I'm doing a full wet vacuuming of a mat, I'm just going to reach straight for the red one. I don't see the point in sort of messing around with any other. When I'm doing an upholstery seat, I'm going to reach straight for the white one. I'm going to use the yellow one when I'm doing my dry vacuuming because I think it's very good at sort of scrubbing through the pile, picking out, you know, the loose debris without going for that sort of over-the-top full clean. So I really do see me using all 3, but using the middle one at a slightly different purpose. The one thing I would love to try these with, and it's unfortunate because I just had the MX-5 recently where I did the Obsession Wax review for Rose Evolution. It had a soft top on it. Apparently they are brilliant on soft tops, really getting a good deep clean on a soft top, and I just don't have access to one of those all too often. But if I can get hold of one of those again soon, I'm going to come back and I'll sort of introduce these on the channel and go through sort of a soft top cleaning how-to, because it's not something I tackle all too often. Maybe you guys would like to see that as well. All in all, I'm really impressed with these from Monstershine. They're very, very robustly built. I think really reasonably priced. Like I've discussed recently with the wheel woolies, with the brushes from Autoglands, it's another in a line of tool where, yes, it's not quite a disposable figure when you're looking at that sort of 30 quid, but it is an investment in having a tool that's going to be with you for a lot of years, and I actually think there's a lot of value in that. You know, it's worth putting that money into them and keeping them there, and you will get a lot of use out of them, and I do believe out of all 3. So if you do want to scoop some up, do have a look at this just as the finished shots. You can see it's really got into the pile, really lifted up and gave it a good thorough clean. And I have to say, I loved them. I thought they were absolutely brilliant. So I'd encourage you to buy them. As always, blame it on me. Back to me in the car.
So that was the Monstershine brushes. Links are below if you're interested in scooping a set of those up, and I'd urge you to. The next part is ODK's Cabin. I absolutely love this. In my glove box, which is actually my door card, I have my small selection of products down here. But as you can see, always got some Cabin there, ready to go. Smells delightful. check this out. It's a wonderful product, fantastic product. I really can't recommend this one enough. But I thought I'd put together why it is a fantastic product and just give you guys a rundown of what it's capable of doing, what it can do. So why don't you check this out, and I will see you back in here in a few minutes. Enjoy.
ODK Cabin. This has briefly been on the channel before when I did the video on having a it's late, a glove box setup. I kind of briefly featured Cabin in that, and tried to show you guys how awesome it is. For me, and like I said just earlier, it's one of those benchmark products. It's one of those that every time the question comes up, people after an interior dressing, cleaner, that sort of thing, I don't even kind of go the route of maybe this, possibly that. It's just get ODK Cabin, just skip all the fluff and straight in for that one. But what is Cabin? What do ODK say it can and will do? So Cabin is an interior, it says an interior dressing, but it's an interior dressing and cleaner. It will sort of act as a duster, you kind of use it to clean dust and loose debris off. If you do want an out and out plastic cleaner, it's not that, but there are products available for that. I'd recommend, for example, Bright Max's interior cleaner. It's a wonderful thing, but that contains no dressing, so that's kind of a different step. But what you're going to get with Cabin is this: you can use it to wipe down all of the interior plastics. It's very good at as a cleaner. It imparts a really, really subtle finish on the plastics. It smells tremendous. It is cranberry and lime. When I had Dan down for the day, we were talking about his scents, because with all of the ODK range, Dan's scents, they're a little bit left field. They're not what you expect. You see a million different bubble gum this or cola bottle that. Cranberry and lime, tell me who else is doing scents like that. I really would challenge you. He's a real master with knowing what smells well. Oh, and before I forget it, the great thing is this: he's just released a whole range of air fresheners, and he's released a Cabin air freshener as well. So if you do love the scent as I do, you could scoop that up as well. The other feature that Cabin brings is it leaves an anti-static property to your interior, to what you've done. So for me, I'm constantly using it. And I mean that is like it's my go-to product. And I find that you do see that it's a noticeable lack of build-up of dust on your dash and all the bits and bobs. It's not a product that says you're never going to have to clean again, but it's going to delay your sort of spaces between having to do that. In terms of the scent, that cranberry and lime, really difficult one to describe to you. Scents are always difficult to describe to you. But basically, imagine that you take a bag of Starburst sweets and you take a big old whiff of those. It's that sort of sweet and slightly tart, fruity smell that's, almost mouth-watering. It is so gorgeous. And couple that with the fact that the finish is the sort of finish that I absolutely love. For me, it's a no-brainer to sort of have this in the kit bag. In terms of use, in terms of the way it's described to be used, you can spray directly onto the plastics, or you can spray to a microfiber. So you're going to see me do a bit of both. But it's very, very simple, as you'd imagine. You're just going to dust over what's there. Again, this is my mother's car getting a little bit of love and care. It's going to pick up the dust on the swipe. It's going to lay down a little bit of dressing. The dressing takes no time at all to flash off. I'll show you that in a close-up in a second. The finish is what I would describe as a slightly more satin than an OEM finish. So it's going to put the subtlest of finish down on your plastics. And I will show you a close-up in a second on the armrest, the center console. It's just enough for me for it to look dressed, but I absolutely detest an oily, a slick, a shiny car interior. I just have no time for them. I want it to look like it's, well looked after, well cared for, but it's really just kind of come off the production line. And this, for me, it does that. It does everything that you would want. Price-wise, it's very reasonably priced too. When you consider how little of this you use, it is one of those sort of spray, mist, wipe type of things. So it's economical as well. You're looking at a tenner for a 500ml bottle. So, you know, it's really one of those nice, affordable products that does a fantastic job for you. In terms of what I tested and what I tried to show in all of this footage here, so showed just the general dusting ability. In that last shot there, I was trying to show the cleaning ability. So there was some, you know, schmutz that was really stuck on there, and it dealt with that all, you know, really, really with ease. And this is just a brief 50-50, so you can see just how subtle the dressing effect is with this. You know, it's just imparting that little bit of a finish, and for me, I really absolutely love it. It's just one of those products for me that, you know, is just so right. The scent I've already described, the fact it sort of leaves that anti-static thing behind. It has all the features that you want from an interior dressing. I always decant mine down, so I don't want to sort of carry around a 500ml bottle in the car. I always decant mine down into a little spray bottle, as I showed you just before this video started. And I'm forever at it. You know, I'm misting it onto my microfiber that's just in my door card there. I'll do it at the traffic lights even. And, you know, I'm sure I get some crazy looks from people when they're sat next to me thinking, what's he doing? But equally speaking, I'm a big fan of spray air fresheners, but this is a great way to get that fresh fragrance in the car whilst you're still kind of doing what you need to do, cleaning and getting everything tidied up. These are just the finished shots. So like I say, very much an OEM finish, satin, nicely dressed, nothing flash, nothing gary or in your face. For me, just an all-round winner. I'd encourage all of you, if you've not, at least to smell it and you know, tell me if you're not converted, and you know, go out and buy some. It is a fantastic product. That's all I can tell you about that. Back to me in the car.
And finally, we're going to be taking a look at the Leather Repair Company's leather cleaning and protecting kit. Bright lights. Check this out. If you have any questions, anything you need to know, leather is a bit of an awkward subject, and in all fairness, the Leather Repair Company are going to be a much better place than I am to answer those questions, but it can be a bit of a misunderstood area. But if you have any questions and I have the answers, ask them below and I'll be sure to answer, and if not, point in the right direction of people who may have the correct answers for you. Why don't you check this out now, and I'll see you after this.
So, on to the final part of the show. This is from the Leather Repair Company. It's their leather cleaning kit and their Tampico brush, which is what's just on screen now. The leather care kit, it comes in that little bundle there. So, it's got a cleaner, a protector, a cotton flannel towel type of thing, terry towel, and a sponge. That, as a kit there, prices at 25 quid. That's 500ml of each of the fluids. You can, for only a tenner more, go for a 1 litre version instead. So if you do want to sort of, well, if you're using it a lot, you might want to consider sort of spending the extra tenner. You don't use a lot of leather cleaner in general. For the ones I'm used to using, this is no exception, you don't use a great deal of product. So, you know, although it's a little bit of a, you know, a weighted bargain to say, yes, spend the extra tenner, for me as a home user, I'd probably say, you know, I don't need to keep that much product on the shelf all the time. You go through it a little bit slower than you'd imagine with leather cleaners. Now, in use, they've basically recommended to pair it with the Tampico brush. And the brush is priced at 6 quid. It's a separate thing. Now, in my head, what I was kind of expecting, because I've said in one of my previous videos, the brush I use, very similar looking, like wooden handle bristle brush. I got it from the shoe cleaning part in Asda, and it was £1. So I was comparing it in my head. It was a £6 brush. Now it's a £1 brush. Where's my money going? The bristle on it is so much different from basically what I was comparing it to. So I think the bristle on my £1 brush is just like a hog's hair. It's like not even a hog's, it's probably a boar's hair. So it's a cheaper hair anyway. The Tampico brush, it's something to do with an agave plant. It says on the website. It's derived from a plant. It's a really stiff bristle on it. Now, almost to the point when I started to use it, I was thinking, this is probably going to be a bit aggressive. You know, in my head I was almost thinking it's too aggressive. But to my surprise, it was actually really brilliant on the leather. you could feel you were getting into a scrubbing action. You know, I didn't feel in danger at any point of damaging the leather. And there is like a little scuff, like a little notch in the leather missing on the back of this. And I was concerned around that. What if I kind of get into it? And it really didn't bother any of it. But it really gave it a good, thorough, deep clean. So, you know, for me, I could justify, you know, the extra £5 on that one. Pairing that off against with my other one, I work the product for a lot longer. It takes a lot more effort to get the same result. So yes, it's more than, you know, you could buy a cheaper alternative, but it does produce a better result and quicker. So, you know, it's a good addition to it. The cleaner itself, spray bottle, spray it directly to the leather, work in then with the brush. You could work it with the sponge they provide, but, you know, the brush I think is the way forward. The cleaner on it, it didn't really foam, it didn't froth up in any way, and I'm used to using one that does kind of kick up some suds, that kicks up some foam. So at first I was a little bit taken aback with that, trying to figure out, am I using it right, am I working it right? But when I came to sort of wipe the residue off, and you know, you sort of use that white towel that's in there, and you can see sort of how filthy that was. It's fetching a lot of brown off. And you can see the finish here on screen. The matte on the left is clean leather. The shiny on the right is dirty leather. That's typically, in the majority of cases, that's your indication your leather is dirty, is when it's shiny. That's not a 100% foolproof plan, but largely for automotive leather, it tends to ring true. But yeah, the cleaner did actually a really, really good job. It did it just without any theatre. So, you know, it wasn't bubbles, it wasn't sudsy, foaming, anything like that. The only thing I would say is I really didn't care for the smell of the cleaner. Now, it's a real difficult one for me to put my hands on, and I don't want to be rude about it. It just, for me, it wasn't an overly pleasant smell. It was one that kind of, I was glad I had the door open. So I would say for me on the day, after I kind of used it and gave it all a thorough trying, I was trying to like look for what I like and what I think can be improved, and I think it would be an improvement if it had a scent to it. You know, even if it was just a synthetic leather scent, I think that would kind of add to what it is, the process of what it does. That would be the only tweak for me. That would be the only improvement. After I'd cleaned the leather, and you can see, you know, very thorough in the finished shots there, very, very competent, very thorough in the leather being cleaned. It then was time to bust out the protector. Now, this is where sometimes bad advice goes a little bit awry. With leather, you sometimes see some companies selling protectors, some selling moisturizers, some selling feed, some selling conditioners. The other term that comes out a lot is modern leather. Now, I really, really hate that, because when did modern start and old-fashioned end? Is that 5 years, 10 years, 50 years? No one bloody knows. In a nutshell, it's this. There's a lot of different ways to finish a leather. It's not one size fits all, but mostly in cars, the leather is finished in such a way that it does not need a conditioner. It does not need, you know, anything like that. A protector largely is very similar to the main quality in a wax that you're after, is it's going to impart some protection against what you do to it. You know, from abrasion, from friction, from, you know, spots or spills you might drop onto it. So it's worth protecting your leather, but don't get caught up in the do you, don't you. So what you'll find, when it's protected, and this is all the protected shots, it just finishes the process. It finishes everything up. So it's worth buying them as a set. It's worth getting the kit in. And, you know, it will do a fantastic job. I'd stand by that. The links are below for this. If you've got any questions, Richard is on Facebook, and Matt, I'll put the links to those if you've got any questions. But if you have any for me, ask them below. Back to me in the car one last time.
So that's it. It's another episode of the Detailing Show done and in the bag. I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff that I'm very, very grateful of every time. And check back 7:30 next Sunday right here on Tranquility Based Detailing for the next episode of the Detailing Show. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.